Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Phil Smelser with Phil Up on Sports, coming to you from sunny California. But today we're going to be kicking it back to Ohio to talk Ohio tourney time in high school sports for the winter season in the Lancaster, Ohio area. So today we're going to be joined by Tom Wilson, who is the sports writer at the Lancaster Eagle Gazette. His Twitter handle is TWIL2323. I'll leave that in the description along with a link to the Lancaster Area Gazette so you guys can check that out. So let's have Tom join us. What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Good, Phil. Great to be here.
Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the sports going on now. We have wrestling, boys and girls basketball, and swimming at the end. So we're going to start with wrestling since it's the sport that's deepest into its tournament. So let's start with Amanda Clear Creek because they won their sectional. How many guys do you think have a chance to really push forward for them?
They have 12 guys that qualify for the district, and like you said, they won their sectional. One of the guys, Jordan Leisure, obviously is ranked first in his weight class at 195. I think he suffered through some injuries, and that's cost him. It seems like each year this will be his fourth straight year of making the state tournament, so it's kind of all or nothing for him. And they have a few other guys: Austin Shannon at 145, Dylan Warga at 170. I hate to leave some guys out, but they have a few guys I think that could reach the state wrestling tournament. So
awesome. Do you know where they are at this weekend?
Yeah, they are actually going to Troy. They usually go to Heat. They've always went to the Heat district. And Coach Smith, their coach, said that the reason he went to Troy, it would enable more of his kids to get to the district out of the sectional that they went in. And he feels like that's kind of I hate to say this, but that's kind of the weaker district. So he feels like he might be able to get more kids out of the district and get to the state tournament. So we'll see. And they're really young. They've had a surprising year, to be honest with you. They lost a lot of good wrestlers. Of course, Cole Genders, who won it all last year, but they've done a great job. But that's where they're at this week. They're at Troy instead of Heat.
Yeah, the Central District, man, it's so rough. I think for your kids' sake, you have to do what's right for them and try to pick the place where you think they can succeed the most. I mean, that's kind of what a coach's job is.
Absolutely, for sure.
So next we have Fairfield Union, who advanced 9 and placed third at their sectional. So who individually for them does well, and where are they at next?
They are at Alexander, I'm pretty sure, Alexander High School. And they have several guys that I think have a chance. I mean, Kevin Beal, obviously, at 145. I did a feature on him earlier this year. And, I think it's kind of, again, an all-or-nothing thing for him. I'm trying to think. Again, I hate to say any certain guys, but, when you get that many guys to the district, it betters your chances to get more guys out to the state tournament. So I can see them getting 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 out.
That's awesome. That'd be great. Is Beal, what grade is he in, did you say?
He's a senior.
He's a senior. Okay, so this is it. This is his last chance.
Yeah. He's a tough little customer, that's for sure. And a great leader for them. I've seen it firsthand. So, I hope he does well.
Awesome. Next, we'll go to Lancaster. Sorry about that. Yeah, Lancaster. They advanced 11 and placed third in the always tough Division I. So, again, individuals and where they're at next.
Yeah, they are at Hilliard Derby this weekend. And some of their top ones, Colton Chase at 113. He reached the state tournament last year. Eric DeLuce at 182. Kane Freeman, Isaac Gatwood. They have several now. Division I is really tough, but I can foresee at least 3 or 4 of those guys getting out. And they also have a girl wrestler at 106, Autumn Gordon. She's only the second girl wrestler ever in Lancaster history to get to the district. So, I'm sure it'll be tough for her once she, this weekend, but still just to to get there. And I've seen her; she's a tough little wrestler. But Lancaster's going through a really upswing. They've won the OCC Ohio for the second straight year, and they've had great success in a lot of their tournaments this year. So, but I would say the two names to watch out for sure is Colton Chase and Eric Deleuze.
Good stuff. That's awesome for her too. That's hopefully her being able to advance out of the sectional will help other girls in the area too to see that they can actually do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so the teams we have left are Bloom Carroll and Liberty Union. They both advanced one. Bloom had a champion individually, and Liberty has one moving on. So what can you tell us about them?
Well, I know the kid from Bloom Carroll. His name is Gabe Gibson. He's a 132-pounder. He finished first in the district, so I think he has a great opportunity to get into the state. And then Blake Wickline at 152 for Liberty is to finish fourth. Both of those will be at the Heath district this weekend, which is always a tough district. But I expect Gibson to get out and be at the state tournament next week.
Good stuff. Hey, one last thing on wrestling here. Lancaster advanced to, and Amanda as well, advanced to the state duels. How do you know how those two did? I think both of them lost in the first round, right?
Right. Lancaster advanced last year. They didn't advance this year.
Okay.
In the regional final. Amanda, I was there, and they started out. They started out great. Their 106-pounder pinned his guy, so they got a lead. But then it was tough. But they ended up winning their last three matches, and I think they got beat 59-17. I want to say to get against Mechanicsburg, which is a great program.
Yeah.
So, but the thing about Amanda getting to the state duels, that was the third time in the 4 years that they've had it. So that says a lot about their program and the consistency. And you got to have all your weight classes filled. And so they continue their great tradition there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So next we'll move to girls basketball. We'll just note that Amanda lost last night and is out. So we have three teams in the area still in it. So let's start with Fairfield Christian Academy, who is the number one seed in D4. And they're actually going to play Fisher Catholic in their next game. And they've played twice this year. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the two games that they've already played and then how that matchup will possibly go this third time?
Well, the first two times they played, it was relatively low scoring, especially for Fairfield Christian, who seems like they score a lot of points. But Fisher, their style, that's just how they play. They kind of slow you down. They have a couple good young players in Emma Burley and Bailey Conrad. I know both those girls have scored in the high 20s this year, and if they get it going, who knows? As far as Fairfield Christian, you talk about young. They have two freshmen that are just, to put it bluntly, they're ballers. I mean, they can just they can handle the ball, they can shoot it, they can pass it, and then they have a couple veteran players back. But as far as how this game would go, I would expect Fairfield Christian to win and move on to the district final. So it should be a good game. Anytime you play a team three times, it's tough. So
very much.
But if Fisher would win, it would be a big time upset.
Okay.
So.
Then we have Byrne, who is the number 3 seed. So you got the a few of the top seeds right here in Lancaster. They're going to play Wellington, who is the number 5 seed, and actually will be a future Mid-State League team starting next year. So what are your thoughts on Byrne in that game?
Again, Byrne Union. It's I keep going back all or nothing, but they're a senior dominated class, and those girls have played together on the varsity for the last 3-4 years, most of them. So it's kind of all or nothing. I know I've talked to Coach Hurst, and they were disappointed because they didn't win the league and got beat by Fairfield Christian twice. But they're looking forward to the tournament. I expect them to win Saturday, and then they'll have a tough game. Their next game they would play more than likely Granville Christian, which is the number 2 seed. They have a really good player in Abby Rose. So it'll be a tough district final for them. But if they would win and Fairfield Christian, wins their district final on Saturday, both they would meet in the regional. So that would be kind of neat to see them, meet in the first regional semifinal. So.
Yeah, for sure. So that's everything for girls basketball. We wish you girls luck in the districts here, and we'll move to boys basketball. We're going to start with Lancaster. They lost last night to Upper Arlington, and they're now out of the tournament. But Lancaster has been a program that since the McKnights and the Great Houses left has sort of struggled and trying to find itself again. So it seemed this year they played well, or they played better than they had. So what can you tell us about, I guess, the outlook for them going forward and where they are at right now?
Well, like you and I talked earlier. They had 7 wins this year, and that's the most, if you can believe this, since 2005, 2006 season. I mean, that's hard to believe.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so for a program that has a lot of tradition, they also snapped a 41-game OCC Ohio Division losing streak. That was a great game. Coy Kitchen hit a half-court shot with no time on the buzzer to get it to overtime against Reynoldsburg, and they beat them. And they had some other good wins. But the league they play in is just so tough. I mean, I personally think it's one of the toughest leagues in the state of Ohio, the OCC Ohio, with Newark, both Pickeringtons, Gahanna, Reynoldsburg. It's just hard. I mean, it's just hard to win in that league. But they do have some returning players, so they should be competitive again next year. That's the biggest thing this year. They were more competitive than they've been in the past. I know last night's score obviously doesn't look like that, but they have an outstanding player in Jacob Arter, who scored 38 points in one game this year. He returns. And they have 2 or 3 other starters or kids either were starters or played a lot that return. So they have some something to build on. So I guess we'll just see what happens next year. But again, it's just so difficult in that league, and even though they are improving, it may not show it with the wins and losses. So I guess we'll just see how hopefully they keep improving and maybe can get to 10 wins next year.
Yeah, that'd be great. Especially, I mean, it's as someone who was around for those days with the McKnights and Great House and all that, it's not seeing the Gale Force be what it has been kind of odd. So hopefully they can build on that and take that to the next level. But like you said, Gahanna and Pickerington, they're not going anywhere. They're even they got young kids on their team that are just so good. So it's going to be a tough division going forward for a while.
Correct. Yeah.
So in D2, Fairfield Union is the top seed. And fun fact here, they play Miami Trace, which just happens to be Tom Wilson's alma mater. So that should mean he should be able to give us a pretty good scoop on Trace and what FU needs to do to try to win the game. So what are your thoughts on Fairfield Union going into this game with Miami Trace?
Well, first of all, they are playing really well. I mean, Fairfield Union plays so well as a team. But you can tell they're so unselfish. They don't care who scores. And to me, they're kind of, even though they're relatively young, they kind of took their lumps a little bit last year. And I think they've just really grown this year. I mean, they kind of got the complete package. I mean, they have the force inside with Colin Woodside, who's 6'5", and however much he weighs. I mean, it's kind of pick your poison. If you try to double team or triple team him, they have such good shooters, obviously with Thomas Green and Lucas Thompson and Hayden Price. And then the point guard, Matt Smith, I don't think he gets enough credit. He doesn't obviously score very much, but just like the game the other night, I mean, he has 2 assists right when it's kind of crunch time, and then he takes a charge, and they go down, and Fairfield Union goes down the scores, and they kind of separate themselves in that game. So I really like the way they're playing. I think they're well coached. As far as Miami Trace is concerned, they're a young team as well. They have some outstanding athletes, and the point guard is the coach's son. Rob Pitzer is the coach, and his son Blake Pitzer is the point guard, who has scored in the 20 points, over 20 points at times this year. But they have Pettiford is his last name, and Darby Tyree, really young, a sophomore and a freshman, I think, but like 6'2", 6'3", just really, I mean, outstanding athletes. And I know the game against Washington Courthouse, who they upset in their last game, they were down 8, I think. Courthouse kind of tried to hold the ball, and they just flat out got after them and made them turn it over. And boom, before you know it, they hit a free throw with 2 seconds left and win it. So, but I really think if Fairfield Union plays the way they've played, which I don't foresee foresee that changing. I mean, I would think they would reach the district finals. I mean, I know it's my alma mater, but obviously I like Fairfield Union and love covering them. So
it sounds like you said, their guards are really athletic and they really get into people on defense. So it seems like if Fairfield Union can get Colin going down inside, and then the guards can handle the pressure from Miami Trace, that they'll have a really good shot to advance.
Absolutely, and I think Fairfield Union they'll go as Colin goes. I mean, he's everything starts with him. So, and then it just sets up the outside shooters because, like I said, you got to pick your poison if you try to stop him, and he's just so darn strong down there. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if they can just handle their pressure and get it down there to him, and that'll relieve some of that pressure, then they should be fine.
All right, next we'll go to Bloom Carroll, who's the 4 seed in the Central District and plays number 18 Bexley. Seems like Petty always has his team ready to go in the playoffs or the tournament, and they have shooters and they have guys where they can score in bunches too. So what does Bloom need to do to advance further into the tournament?
Well, I think this is a different type of Bloom Carroll team that he's had in the past. I mean, they have 2 transfers who's really helped them, Gavin Brown and Matt Smith, obviously. But, man, unless you're in that system for a little while, I mean, I think it takes a little while. And I think they're having a little bit harder time adjusting when teams really guard them. And Bexley is not going to be easy. I'm telling you, I would not be shocked if Bexley beats them, even though it's at Bloom Carroll. I just know Coach Petty is not. It feels like they got to get a lot tougher and all that. So, I don't know, man. Bexley's played a really tough schedule and plays in a decent league with Whitehall. He's really good, and I know a lot of their losses have been to really good teams. So, Bloom Carroll's really going to have to bring it, really going to have to shoot it well to get past Bexley, I feel like. Interesting.
Okay, so in D3, Liberty Union is the 10 seed. They play Fredericktown, who's the 14 seed. It really seems like when I was looking at scores this year and following games that Liberty was in games till halftime or at the end of the third quarter, or they were winning games, and they really seemed like they took the game up a step this year, and they competed with everybody, and they're ready to take the next step. So what is the outlook for them in their next game? And then, like I said, what's the thoughts on how the program seems to be going in the right direction?
They have a new coach in Seth Martin, and I think he's done a good job. I mean, they're playing a little bit different style than what they played. They have a really good guard that can shoot it, Tyler Bream. Another guard, Caleb Fox, who's come on. He's a junior. And Charlie, and I can't think of his last name right now. I apologize, but he's a 6'5" post kid that's really strong. He's only a junior. So, I mean, I think they're moving in the right direction. They've been very competitive. So, yeah, I mean, I think they'll have a good chance of beating Fredericktown, but then they would have to face number 1 Worthington Christian in the next round. But just the fact that they could win a tournament game would be big, I think, for the new coach and for the program. So.
Definitely. Okay, so Millersport, they're the 10 seed. They play 7 seed Danville. Seems like somebody from around here always plays Danville in a tournament. It seems like there's always a Danville versus somebody. What are the thoughts on this game for Millersport, and how did their season go? You were telling me that they've done sort of like Liberty Union, where they've played well this year.
Yeah, they might be the best kept secret, to be honest with you. I mean, they beat. They were down, if you believe this, they were down 22 points to Grove City Christian, who tied with Harvest Prep for the MSL Cardinal title. And it was at Grove City Christian. They were down 20 in the second half and came back and won. Millersport did beat them. So they beat the league champ, and they're 11-11, which is outstanding, I think, for them. They have a couple good players in Mike Steger and a sophomore guard in Zane Purvis. And so, yeah, I mean, I think they would have a great chance of going to Danville and beating them. I mean, like I said, 11-11 is a good season for them. They haven't had a winning record for a long time. And then if they would win, they would probably have a rematch again with Grove City Christian. So I'm not saying they would beat them. yeah, they've had a really good season for Millersport. So
That's great. Next, we have the 12 seed Fisher Catholic. They play Shekinah Christian. And what do we know about that game?
Well, I don't know a ton about Shekinah. I do know Fisher Catholic. Man, if they have a night where everybody has it going, then they can be a tough team to beat. I mean, they have veteran guys in Parker Brady and Blake Saffel, Hayden Muckensturm. I mean, they have a senior-laden team. It's just they've played really well at times, and they've not played really well. So I think if they quote bring their A game or whatever, play the way they're capable, I would think they could advance. And then unfortunately, they would have to face top seeded Afrocentric in their next game. But again, it would be nice for them to win a tournament game, and I think they have a good opportunity to do that.
And then the last team we have in boys basketball is Fairfield Christian Academy, who's the 3 seed and plays number 16 East Knox.
Right.
What are the chances you think that Fairfield Christian can make a run to win the district title?
I think they again, if they played a really tough schedule first of all, and they've beaten some really good teams, but then they turned around and lost a few games that they shouldn't have. If they win, which they should against East Knox, they would have a rematch with Newark Catholic. And I covered that game early in the year, and it was one of the better high school games I've seen all year. It was an overtime 1-point game, so that'll be a tough one. That'll be kind of a toss-up. And then if they would win and get to the district final, they would face Harvest Prep in the district final, and they just lost in overtime to them. So they have some really good players, and if they once again get it going, like coaches say, you want to be playing your best come tournament time. So if they get it going, they definitely could win the district titles. But it won't be an easy road. They have to be playing well.
Right, but if they win this game, like you said, the next 2 opponents will be people that they've played and they've taken to overtime. So confidence, not like they have broken confidence. They'd have to feel pretty good, that they could win those games.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so next we're going to shout out to some local kids that are going to be in the swim meet this week. It's the state meet. From Lancaster, we have Olivia Smelser, who will compete in the 50-yard free and the 100-yard free, and she has a pretty awesome last name. And then from Liberty Union, we have Tacey Miller, who will compete in the 200-yard free and the 50-yard free. And then also from Liberty Union, Kylie Arnold will compete in the 100-yard butterfly. And then from Fisher Catholic on the boys' side, we have Rhett Sanford, who will compete in the 200-yard IM, which is the individual medley. And then we believe there is a Lancaster team that is going there for the relays. So good luck to all you guys. We hope you do well up at Akron, and hope you can bring some state titles home. So to finish this off, Tom, I'm going to do some rapid fire with you. I'm just going to ask some questions for you and get a quick answer from you, and then we'll move on. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
All right. So first, prediction. Does Jordan Leisure win the state title?
Yes.
Awesome. That's fantastic. For the listeners out here, if you don't know, Jordan Leisure has turned down some scholarship offers and has decided to be a preferred walk-on at Ohio State for football next fall. What can you tell us about Jordan a little bit? Like, just dip into his character a little bit. Like, why would you turn down scholarship offers to be a preferred walk-on where every kid, every person that knows what walk-ons go through, it's a tough road. You're last on the food chain. So what would make Jordan want to do that?
I think he went up there last year as a junior as an actual recruit, not probably a serious recruit, but I think how he explained it to me is if he got the opportunity, he was going to do it because he didn't want to look back and say, man, I wish I could have tried it, because that's just been his dream school. And I know that, like you said, he got offered from D2 schools and a couple of D1s, but he just felt like this is a great opportunity, and he understands what he's walking into. And if there's ever a kid that could earn his way, it's this kid. I mean, he's a 4.0 student, just a great kid, mature kid, a kid that gets it. And like he said, if he gets up there and he's tired of being, like you said, the low guy on the totem pole, then he can always transfer. But he said he obviously wants to just give it a try and see what happens, and he'll go from there. But Ohio State could offer a lot of things for him, and I feel like he can offer a lot of things for Ohio State. So that's kind of where he's at, and it would not shock me if somehow he ends up earning a scholarship there, and maybe gets on special teams. Who knows? But you got to respect the kid for what he's doing. So
yeah, that's awesome. I think that's great that he's sort of chasing a dream, and instead of I shouldn't have said chasing, because I don't want to make it seem like it's something he can't obtain, because obviously if he's willing to take this risk, then he's pretty confident in himself and he's ready to go up there and work. So that's pretty awesome. Jordan, good luck to you, and we hope to see you on the field someday in the horseshoe. Okay, so number 3. Every year you've been doing this, well, the last couple of years you've been doing this Battle of the Fans, where you get the student sections to, be creative and do things that, get people's attention. So you go to these schools, and then it's like a tournament. You get it down to the final 2, and then, we decide a champion. Or you decide a champion. So the last 2 schools are Fairfield Christian Academy and Fairfield Union. You did their last auditions these last couple weeks. So give us a little bit of a scoop on what both did that caught your eye, and then just sort of give everybody an idea of what you're looking for from these student sections.
Right. Well, first of all, these 2 were hands down the 2 best. Fairfield Union, just the amount of students that they had at the games, the 2 that I judged, the 2 times that I judged, and just how involved the students were, and the atmosphere they created at that school. I know the final time I judged them, I had several parents come up to me and said, "This is, it's awesome what you're doing," and we haven't seen this kind of atmosphere for a long time here at the school. Just little stuff like that. It was Valentine's Day. They dressed up in red and pink, and they had a big heart with my big picture in the middle and held it up during the game. Then they came over and presented it to me at halftime. Just neat things like that. And Fairfield Christian, obviously they're a lot smaller, and all their students are involved. They get their PA guy involved. Even the players, when they're introduced, they did some things. And that's the biggest thing that I was looking for, just creativity and stuff like that. I even had opposing coaches tell me, "Shoot, this was better than like when they're in the tournament almost, just the atmosphere that it created." So that was the whole premise going in, was try to get students involved, and I think we've done that. I know, I've heard some students say, "Hey, I'll remember these nights, for forever." I mean, there was, you go to a game on Friday night, there's nobody there, there's not a lot of excitement, but these Battle of the Fans, it seemed like it created a lot of excitement, so it seems like it's been a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember telling you on Twitter that the Fairfield Christian game, that last one there versus Harvest Prep, when they came out of their tunnel that they had made with the students, it seemed like every kid in that school, because it's such a small school, it seemed like every kid that's probably in that high school was there. And I thought that was really awesome that they were getting that support. So the Battle of the Fans is awesome. The results will actually be out tonight. He will release them on his Twitter with a game story. So make sure you check that out. I believe 7 o'clock, right? Is that what you're shooting for?
Correct.
Okay,
yep,
so
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, check his Twitter or check the Lancaster Gazette, and you can find out the winner. Sounds like it's a pretty tight one. So last question here. Taryn Alvello from Bloom Carroll is at Washington now, pitching. She was obviously broke some high school records in Ohio, and then took her talents to Washington. So she's done really well already this year. She's getting starts, and they're beating some really good teams, and they're ranked in the top 10. So here's the question for her, and this is your question. What are the chances that she's a freshman All-American?
Boy, that's a tough question. I got to say yes. I mean, she's actually 4-0. She started the game at Texas A&M and gave up 4 runs and got they took her out, but the other girl came in and gave up 6 runs. So she's still 4-0. She came right back the next day and got a win in relief. So, obviously I'm a big fan of Taryn. That's pretty well documented. But yeah, I definitely I think she'll be a freshman All-American. She's their ace. I mean, they pitch her against the top ranked team. So to answer your question, that's a long. I didn't mean to go into detail, but yes, I think she will be a freshman All-American.
No, I was glad you did because I hadn't looked into the stats completely, but I think you're right. I think there's a really good chance she's an All-American. Without it's kind of a hard question to ask you because obviously we don't know other freshman pitchers around that kind of thing around the country, but beating those top 10 teams the way she did right at the beginning, in her first couple starts, that was a really probably eye opener even for her teammates to say that like, hey, this girl's for real. So that's awesome. We hope that she does well up there. So that's it. Thank you so much for coming on, giving us some insight into teams and individuals in their respective sports from Lancaster, and let's do it again soon, man.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Phil. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. So that's it for today. Please make sure you comment on the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, pass it on to people, share it. I know there's going to be probably a lot of new visitors today because I had Tom on. So if you're an athlete or the parent of an athlete, please click on my channel and go back and watch a couple of the videos that I posted a few weeks ago. The first one was how to be a good student athlete, and the second one was based towards parents and how to be the parent of an athlete. So check those out. You can give me your comments. I'm all for getting critiqued a little bit. So thank you all for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.